Hi, I'm Jeff Parker. I'm the architect for the school district. I work with SHP Leading Design. We're standing here in Beavercreek Township in what used to be a cornfield. We're at the corner of Dayton Xenia Road and Ankeny Road, and we're standing in the middle of the new middle school, elementary school campus. To my right is the middle school. It's designed to accommodate 1,150 students. That's bigger than many high schools in the state. Over here we have the elementary school. It's designed to house 700 elementary students, grades kindergarten through 5th grade. In the summer of 2010, we started getting the site ready to receive the buildings. This is a 50-acre site, and the district opted to locate both schools on this campus. It was important, though, that these schools stay separate schools. So you'll see throughout the design that we've worked to maintain that separation. However, one of the benefits of putting them together on the same site allowed us to maximize some efficiency. Well, efficiencies like tap fees for drinking water and fire suppression water, as well as sanitary lines. Electrical service is all coming to one place, as well as gas lines and even technology lines. This next aerial view shows the asphalt paving being installed. One of the nice benefits about putting both buildings on the same campus is that we didn't have to do roadway improvements at two separate sites, where we were able to consolidate all that effort and all that money in a single location. After the building site was prepared and all the on-site circulation was in place, it was time to get started on the building. This first shot illustrates a lot of the footings being put in place, those foundation walls coming up out of the ground, and finally some slabs being poured on the grade. The next shot illustrates the bearing walls coming up out of the ground. You can begin to see where they are rising up to support that second floor slab. And even in the middle, at the end, over the cafeterias, you can see some roof being installed. This last shot was taken in June of 2012. You can see here that most of the roof is in place, and nearly all of the structure of the building is in place, excluding this front wing of the middle school side. You can also see the exterior skin going on. First off, we get those green ICF forms, and then the yellow gypsum sheathing, and then the brick or metal skin on the exterior. As we mentioned, it was really important to the district that we make the building as energy efficient as possible. One of the ways that we did that was by selecting a highly efficient exterior envelope or exterior wall for the building. That helps keep all the cool air in when it's hot outside, all the hot air in when it's cold outside. That wall is made of what we call insulated concrete forms. If you drove by during construction, you saw us stacking up these kind of mint green colored Lego blocks, if you will. And it makes a sandwich, a concrete sandwich. There's a layer of foam on the inside and the outside, and between those two layers we put reinforcing steel to make the wall very strong, and then we load it with concrete to make it very sturdy. Perhaps one of the most unique features of our building, of these schools, is the geothermal heating and cooling system. This is perhaps the heart of the system. These lines are connected to our well field to the north of us. And the way they work is, in the summer, when it's hot, they are taking the hot energy out of the building, running it through our well field, cooling it because the ground temperature is always constant, then bringing it back into the building, bringing that same liquid back into the building, and using it to cool again. So it's a constant loop that's being driven year-round. The nice thing about it is that this also works for heating because the ground temperature is constant. When it's cold outside, it's bringing in that cold air, that cold energy, running it through the ground, warming it up, and then we're bringing it back in and using that to heat the buildings as well. When we build a building this big, it's important that we consider scale. And to manage scale, we use different materials to help make the building feel smaller for the students. You can see that on this building we've used stone and brick and some wood as well as some metal. The stone we placed on the office building, we wanted those buildings to kind of feel like the guardians of the campus. We wanted the classroom wings to speak to the tradition of Beavercreek. So we created a base on them that's really traditional brick veneer. And then above that, we wanted to talk about, that we're preparing our students for the future, for life in this 21st century. So we selected a more kind of high-tech material for the upper portion of that to really reflect what happens here at Beavercreek. We're standing in front of the elementary school library. The middle school library is very similar. The library is kind of where the magic happens at school. And we wanted to reflect that in what we wrap these pieces in. It's kind of a treasure chest, if you will. So we wrap them in this wood skin to really reflect the prominence and the value that we place on this room. So when we start developing a site this large, one of the main questions is, what do we do with the rainwater that falls on it? Obviously we've got a lot of building here and we've got a lot of paving, so we've got a lot of rainwater to manage. One of the things that we do, oftentimes you might see a pond in front of a building. That's frankly not a really good answer for a school for obvious reasons. So what we've done around this campus is created a series of bioswales, and those are really just those nice planting beds that you'll see. You may have noticed a lot of nice planting around the campus. That's what they're there for. Those planting beds receive all that storm water, they filter it, and then they transfer it into a series of what we call dry wells, which are underground containment systems, basically a pond underground. You wouldn't know it was there unless you saw the drawings. And then the water's held there and percolates back into the earth where it should be. Another point about the plantings is that many of them are required by local zoning requirements. But we were careful to specify species of plants that are native to the area, and they're also drought tolerant, so they should be easily maintained. This is one of the 4th grade classrooms. We mentioned earlier that it was really important to the district that this building be very energy efficient. One of the ways that we do that is by taking advantage of the daylight that comes from the sun. We do that by a few means. We have really high windows. The higher the window is, the deeper into the building the natural light comes. So that's why the ceiling actually slopes up to that window head. It also creates a deeper space in the ceiling over the corridor for us to run all the mechanical stuff. Each room is equipped with an occupancy sensor. That sensor determines if there's someone in the room. If it's occupied, it turns the lights on. If it's not, it turns the lights off. Also in this room, there are daylight sensors, and they automatically monitor the amount of sunlight that's coming through those windows, and they adjust the intensity of the artificial lights, another way to minimize the amount of energy it takes to operate this building. We're in the 4th and 5th grade hallway in Trebein Elementary School. A few things to point out here. Each of the corridors is color-coded, so in an effort to make it easier for the students to navigate. If I know I'm on the gold hall, if I'm in the green hall, I know I'm in the wrong place. So it'll help the students find their way around the building. Another thing to point out, the floors in this hallway are actually rubber tile. It's a little quieter, it's a little easier on the feet, but also it's a no wax finish. So that's going to save a lot of maintenance year after year after year, a lot of maintenance hours for the district, and therefore a lot of dollars. We're in the IMC at the middle school right now, otherwise known as the library. It's kind of an interior space, so what we did to maximize the amount of daylight in the room is we raised the roof and brought in light overhead. But when we raise the roof on a space, it creates a challenge of how do we appropriately condition it, because as you know, the heat will tend to rise in the room. So what we did is, you can see behind me we have what we call linear diffusers that are low. They put the conditioned air down where the occupants are. Instead of having to pump it in from high overhead, we push it right where it needs to be. But books aren't all of media these days. As you know, technology is more and more a part of our lives, and it's the truth. That's the case for our students as well. This library, this media center is built to support collaborative work. The tables can be pushed and pulled together or separated to accommodate groups, small groups, big groups working on small projects to big presentations. This space really becomes a highly flexible, really useful room for the whole middle school. We're in the computer lab at Trebein Elementary School. It's directly adjacent to the library, making it convenient for research projects and for technology teaching. It's also really valuable because the state has recently mandated standardized tests, and those tests are given on the computer. So students will be coming through this room to take that standardized test each year. This is the elementary school gymnasium. It's a nice big room. It's sized to accommodate 2 PE classes at the same time if you needed to. It can also be used for practices after school hours. One of the interesting things to point out in this room is the fact that even in the gym we're taking advantage of daylight, of sunlight, to light the space. You can see overhead that we have 2 big sets of windows that project up above the roof plane. And those are south facing, and the intent is to bring in as much natural sunlight as we can. Those roof monitors have baffles built into them so that they capture the sunlight and distribute it evenly across the room so that we don't have any hot spots or any direct sunlight or glare on the gymnasium floor. This is the main student entrance for Coy Middle School. The students will enter through this hall coming off of the bus lot. Behind me is kind of the visual anchor of this entry. It's obviously this is CMS, this is Coy Middle School. We want the students to take pride in that. This is kind of the spirit center of the school. You can see we've highlighted on this wall the different activities that occur here that really help the district produce well-rounded students and well-rounded citizens. Beavercreek Schools is interested in making scholars, but they're also interested in making good citizens. They have, in fact, a character education program. And just as a means to passively reinforce that, we've placed that on the wall here in the reception area. There's 7 character traits, each highlighted here in the reception.